BTS changed V's life. Before BTS, V lived a very painful life. Fans didn't know. In a world obsessed with perfection, where idols are often polished to a shine that reflects no flaws, there stands a figure who is paradoxically the most photographed man on earth, yet remains an enigma wrapped in deep, soulful silence. We see the flash of the cameras. We see the designer suits and the sold-out stadiums. We see V, the global icon of BTS. But if you look past the dazzling lights and the roar of the crowd, you will find a story that is not about fame at all. It is a story about a boy named Kim Taehyung, who once believed his destiny lay in the quiet soil of a farm, not among the stars. To understand the depth of V's journey, one must travel back to a time before the glamour, to the rural county of Geochang. His childhood was not paved with gold. Raised primarily by his grandmother, a woman he loved with a fierce and tender devotion, Taehyung grew up in humble surroundings. He did not spend his days in dance studios or vocal academies. He spent them in the fields, listening to the quiet hum of nature. He famously stated in early interviews that if he hadn't become a singer, he would have likely become a farmer, pulling weeds and harvesting crops with his grandmother. This simplicity was his foundation, a grounding force that would later keep him tethered when the world tried to sweep him away. However, the path to soul was paved with hidden anxieties. There is a poignant story, often retold by fans and verified by the artist himself, about the day he moved to the big city to become a trainee. His mother, worried that her son would be judged or bullied by the city kids for being from the countryside, bought him an expensive North Face jacket. It was a purchase that likely strained the family's finances, a sacrifice made of pure parental love. When Taehyung arrived, the other trainees misunderstood the gesture, thinking he was a rich kid showing off. In reality, he was a boy wearing his mother's love as armor, terrified of not fitting in. But the struggle for acceptance was just beginning. Upon joining Big Hit Entertainment, Kim Taehyung entered a period of his life that can only be described as a psychological test of endurance. For over a year, he was known as the hidden member. While the other 6 members of what would become BTS were gradually introduced to the public through video logs and social media, interacting with fans and building a fan base, Taehyung was kept a secret. Imagine the isolation of that experience. He lived in the same cramped dorms. He practiced the same grueling hours, sweating until his body ached. Yet, when the cameras turned on for the group logs, he had to step out of the frame. He has confessed in later years that he would stand by the trash can or hide in corners, watching his friends record their messages to the fans, wondering if he would ever be revealed. He wrestled with a terrifying uncertainty. Was he hidden because he was a secret weapon, or was he hidden because he wasn't good enough? The fear of being cut from the lineup at the last second was a constant, breathing shadow. He was a ghost in his own life, working for a dream that refused to acknowledge his existence. When he finally debuted, the relief was immense, but the challenges evolved. V was unique. His deep, baritone voice contrasted with the higher tenors of K-pop, and his free-spirited, eccentric personality often confused the rigid standards of the industry. In the early years, he was sometimes misunderstood. He was labeled with nicknames that dismissed his depth, and his thoughtful pauses were mistaken for blankness. He struggled to articulate his complex, colorful thoughts into words, often leading to moments of frustration where he would retreat into silence. He was trying to be himself in a world that wanted him to be a product. The most heartbreaking chapter of his journey, however, came in 2016. It was a year that marked BTS's explosive rise with blood, sweat and tears. But for Taehyung, it was a year of private devastation. While he was smiling for the cameras, shooting music videos, and performing high-energy choreography, he was secretly carrying the weight of impending loss. His grandmother, the woman who had raised him for 14 years and served as his second mother, passed away while he was on tour in the Philippines. The cruelty of the idol life is that the show must go on. V had to suppress his grief. He had to wear the mask of the perfect idol while his heart was shattering. 4 days, he held it in, performing with the same intensity, smiling at fans, engaging in interviews. It wasn't until a concert weeks later that the dam finally broke. Standing on stage, with tears streaming down his face, he finally shared his pain with the fans. He spoke of his grandmother with a vulnerability that silenced the stadium. It was a moment that stripped away the superstar persona and revealed a grieving grandson who just wanted to say goodbye. That sacrifice, delaying his own mourning for the sake of the group and the fans, remains one of the most painful testaments to his dedication. Even after BTS conquered the world, becoming the biggest band on the planet, the shadows did not disappear. They merely changed shape. The global pandemic of 2020 brought the world to a halt, and for V, it brought a period of intense burnout and introspection. In his self-composed track, Blue and Grey, he opened a window into his mental state during this time. The lyrics are a haunting confession of anxiety, emptiness, and a feeling of being consumed by a grey fog. He asked, "Where is my angel?" and spoke of a ferocious depression that washed over him. He questioned his happiness. He questioned if the path he was on was the right one. Despite the awards, the millions of dollars, and the adulation, he felt a profound loneliness. He revealed that he often felt blue, a term he used to describe the weight of burnout. It was a brave admission. In an industry that demands constant positivity, V chose to be honest about his sadness. He showed the world that it is possible to have everything and still feel empty. What makes Kim Taehyung truly beloved, however, is not just his ability to endure pain, but his refusal to let the world harden him. He responded to the pressure not with anger, but with a gentle, almost childlike wonder. He turned to jazz music, painting, and photography, finding solace in the slow, quiet beauty of art. He created the phrase, Borahi, or I purple you, giving a definition to the love between BTS and their fans. Purple is the last color of the rainbow, so it means I will trust and love you for a long time. He created a legacy of love out of a simple color, showing the depth of his emotional intelligence. His kindness is often found in the small details. Verified accounts from industry staff and journalists frequently mention V's politeness. He is known to greet every cameraman, every security guard, and every assistant with a bow and a smile. On the fan platform Weverse, he interacts with fans not as a distant celebrity, but as a friend. He plays video games with them, gives them blunt but caring advice, and shares blurry photos of his daily life. He treats his fame not as a pedestal, but as a bridge to connect with others. His solo debut with the album Layover was the ultimate declaration of his identity. Instead of chasing the high-energy pop trends that guarantee chart success, he released a slow, R&B and jazz-inspired album. He chose to slow down. He chose to show his natural face, often appearing without makeup, embracing a relaxed and authentic aesthetic. It was a risk, but it was a risk he took to reclaim his own pace. He showed the world that he was done rushing. According to various media sources, V has achieved record-breaking milestones, such as being the fastest person to reach 60 million followers on Instagram. But these numbers seem trivial compared to his personal growth. His dream, as he has stated in interviews, is not to be the biggest star forever, but to age gracefully. He wants to be like his father, a man who supports his family and lives with kindness. As we look at Kim Taehyung today, standing confident and composed, we must look deeper than the visual. We must see the boy who stood by the trash can, waiting to be seen. We must see the grandson who mourned in silence while the world cheered. We must see the artist who painted his own world when the real one became too gray. He is a reminder that the most beautiful things in life are often the most fragile, and that true strength is not about being unbreakable. It is about breaking, and then putting the pieces back together to create a work of art. Kim Taehyung did not just become a star. He became a sanctuary for the lonely, the misunderstood, and the dreamers. And as the lights fade and the music stops, what remains is not the global icon, but the gentle soul of the boy from Geochang, looking up at the sky, finally at peace with his own reflection. That is why the world does not just watch him. They respect him. Deeply, quietly, and forever.